Welcome, gentlemen. My name is Dr. Brandon Schreiner. It's an honor and a blessing that you're on the webinar, and this is termed, get ripped and be disciplined. And we're going to talk about how to do that today, because discipline is about, doing the hard things and doing the things that, a lot of people don't want to do. I would consider myself a pretty disciplined person. I always have been, but it's not easy. Nothing really in life that's good is very easy. That's long lived. And so, super excited that you're on here. Just real quick question. Well, before I do that, make sure if you guys have anything, questions in the chat, hey, let me know you're here. Give me a thumbs up. We'll just kind of make this interactive, and we'll get to your questions here as the webinar is over. But just let me know you're here. I've also got a link in there as we go through this. If you guys want to click on that and purchase the Warrior 40, which I'll talk about at the end, you guys are more than welcome to do that. But just real quick question. Are you frustrated? Are you the man that is overweight? Just has a hard time, being confident by the way that you look. You're the guy that, you go on vacation with your family and it's embarrassing to take your shirt off. I've even talked to guys, it's even embarrassing to, take off my shirt when I'm having sex. And it's just not a real great place to live. Or maybe, are you the jacked guy? The guy that, is not afraid to do that, but yet you have no connection with your wife. You've no connection with your kids. Your mind is completely engrossed in your business and profit, but you're losing the most important things in your life. Maybe you're fit. Maybe you have a great relationship with your wife. Maybe you have a booming business and money is not an issue, but at the end of the day, you have no strong foundation in Christ. I mean, you have no spiritual connection. And I'll tell you that I talk to a lot of guys like this. I talk to a lot of guys in my circle that really just kind of have it all together on the surface, but whenever you kind of open up the hood of the car, there's emptiness, and it really is a struggle for a lot of men. And so, our goal is really to empower and equip men to live, lead, and love strong. I personally believe that you can do all those things. Um, for a little bit about me, I'm married 12 years to my wife and my business partner. We've got four beautiful boys. Beckett is 9, Ezekiel is 7, Hendrix is 6, and Mac is 10 months. We're partners. We're both doctors of chiropractic. We've run one of the largest natural healthcare clinics together over the last 12 years. We run a lodging company. And my wife was one of the big supporters of me starting this massive movement. We have made 7 6 figures. And I don't say that because I'm like, oh, look at me. I say that because I want you to know it's possible. Like it's possible to, and I'm not perfect. I don't have it all together. And I think that anybody that would portray that image, I don't want you to be led by that person. Warrior 40 is just as much for me as it is for anybody else, which I'll talk about. But I do think it's possible for us to have an amazing relationship with the Lord, for us to be fit, healthy, on no medications, for us to have a family and a wife that loves us, or our future wife that loves us, and for us to be massively successful. I don't think that we have to sacrifice our family to go and have a successful company. And whenever we started Warrior 40 or created the Warrior 40, that was what we had in mind, is that we need a program and a process that can really create some stability for men, so that way, we don't fall off the edge. Because I don't know, you look around and you look at the world we're living in today, and we're losing the backbone. The backbone of American men is going away. We are just losing it altogether, physically, spiritually, relationally. We either got it together in one aspect, but we've just fallen off the wagon on the other. And so we need more balanced, strong men. And that's why we created this. And let me just start by saying this too, that there's a lot of information out there. You can actually go online right now and you can type in, fitness, whatever. You can type in, spiritual relationship, whatever program. And there's programs all around the country that do individually all those things. But very rarely do you have a program that kind of encompasses all those things. Working with thousands and thousands of patients, from the sickest of the sick to even healthy and keeping healthy. There's an aspect of our physical health that does bleed into our emotional, relational, and our spiritual well-being. There's an aspect of our spiritual well-being and how that bleeds and affects our physical and relational. I mean, that's why Luke 10:27 says, love you, Lord your God, with all your heart, all your soul, all your strength, and all your mind, and love in each other as you love yourself. I mean, there's a balance there between those things. And with all the information that you have out there, I mean, information is just information. It's nothing. Like knowledge is potential power. And so today, I want you to understand that I'm going to go over some stuff, but nobody gets transformation if they don't apply the information. So information plus application equals transformation. If you're struggling, if you're that guy that I was talking about earlier, that's just really, there's no balance there. I'm kind of on one side or the other. Like, the Warrior 40 was created for you, but I can't do that for you. Like, I can't make you show up. I can't make you do the nutrition. I can't, be there with you to hold your hand all the time on the exercise stuff. Like there's a point where you've got to, enough is enough. And we've got to, really kind of dive into the storm and run into our problems head on. Because if we do that, then we're going to have transformation. But if we hide back, if we cower back, we make excuses, then we're not going to have any kind of transformation. Actually, our problem is going to get way bigger and worse. So information plus application equals transformation. So why Warrior 40? Very successful. I got a very successful chiropractic clinic. I've got a lodging company. My wife and I, we don't, why do this? And I even, have to kind of go back and anchor back to that why quite a bit. 4 kids and just a lot of different things going on. But I want to just kind of bring that to the surface as to like, why did I create this? It was my son's second birthday, Hendrix. He's 6 now. And this was, 4 years ago. I can't believe it's been that long ago, but 4 years ago, my son's second birthday. I remember it like it was yesterday because my wife is like uber big on birthdays. She's the person that's just gung ho over the top. Like we had like 30, 40 people coming. I remember the house just smelled like a massive chili cook-off because we had like 10 pots of chili everywhere. It was a flag football party. My son, he's 5 or 6 now, and he's just kind of a freak athlete. So he loves athletics. So we're gonna have a flag football game. So we were gonna go over to the football field next door and just get after it. And I remember I was like in the kitchen, stirring chili and just kind of minding my own business. And I remember this like gut-wrenching scream from the living room. And I don't know if you've ever experienced that or you've been in a situation where you've heard somebody just kind of let out this massive bellow, almost like someone had just died. And that's exactly what had just happened. I went and my wife, and she goes, Mark took his life. Mark's dead. And Mark was, one of my best friends in the chiropractic health world, or just in general. He was that guy that when I gave my life to the Lord in the North Georgia mountains in the beginning of chiropractic school over 12 years ago, like he was one of those guys that helped lead me in that prayer of salvation. He was influential in my growth as a Christian, as a man. At that time, he had little kids, so they'd come over to my apartment in chiropractic school, and I'd cut their hair. And he was the guy that I could go to at seminars. He was the guy that I could really just kind of talk to things. And he was the life of the party. I mean, there was never, on the surface, there was never anything wrong with Mark. But, come to find out, Mark was an alcoholic, and Mark had a problem, and he just couldn't deal with it. I mean, this is a Christian guy. This is a guy that on the surface did everything well, and then all of a sudden said, hey, this is too big of a problem, and my family is better off without me. So, he ended his life, and now his parent or his kids are, being fathered, by another dad. I just saw a picture online the other day of his daughter's daddy-daughter dance, and Mark wasn't there. So it's little things like that that kind of anchor me back to that and why we do what we do here. Because whenever I saw that and I began to think. Weeks after that, I began to think, wow, I mean, I could easily be Mark. I'm just a one mistake or, one too many drinks away from a bad decision or, whatever. And I think a lot of men, struggle with that. And so if we're not anchored and we're not, if we're not, we don't have a brotherhood of community of men that can come together as iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another, then we're kind of lost. The traditional men's ministry within churches, it's kind of a dying thing. It's a bunch of guys that, come in and eat some breakfast and sit around and have coffee and talk about things, but not really deep things. Trust. We don't. It's earned, and so we created the Warrior 40. I looked at my wife and I said, "Babe, I know everything is good right now. We're very comfortable financially. We're very comfortable in our current life, but I need to do this. I didn't have the greatest relationship with the men in my life growing up. I got a great relationship with my dad now, but there's a lot of men that are hurting. At that time, there was kids, there was other guys that were coming to me struggling with depression and anxiety and alcoholism, and it just all these things just began to pile on me, and it was the Lord just saying, "Hey, you've got to create a program that's going to make men stronger in how they live and how they lead and how they love." And then, 4 years ago, that's where we, brought together a team, and that team assembled what we now call the Warrior 40 Challenge. Jesus went 40 days and 40 nights in the wilderness, and he did that for a reason, because he needed to get sharp. He needed to get physically sharp, spiritually sharp, emotionally sharp. He needed to test himself. And so, if you're struggling, 40 days can change your life. For some of us, it can radically transform. For some of us, it can just get the ball rolling, and that's kind of all we need. But this is the basis or the foundation of the program. How do we do this? Like, how do we get men to become stronger in how they live, their fitness, their nutrition, how they lead their spiritual relationship, how they lead their families, and how they love, like their communication, their relationship with their wives or their future wives. Like, what do I even know what to look for? I mean, right now you can kind of, order your wife online, like what am I looking for? Like, what are some things that I need to think about in that situation? Like, how do we train our sons and our daughters to get ready for this crazy world that we're living in, where relationships are just kind of it's just kind of a wham bam thank you ma'am kind of a thing. Like, it's not a sacred covenant anymore. So we've got to prepare ourselves for that. And so, number one, how do we do that? Varying levels of workouts and instructional videos. Like, I get it. I was a world class. I was a wrestler. I wrestled for the Ohio Bobcats. Had neck surgery into my wrestling career. I became a strength conditioning coach, and then as I went to chiropractic school, I became a world class CrossFit athlete. So certified in various different, National Academy of Sports Medicine, Division I strength conditioning, CrossFit, USAW. I mean, I've got all of them, and I've been training and teaching people how to become fit and healthy for many, many years. And so, but I get it. I mean, not all of us, are jacked, and some of us are starting, hey, with a good foundation, and some of us are not. And so, it's one thing to order a program online where, like, hardly ever can you, one, complete the workout, or two, it just takes so much time. Like, I don't have that kind of time. And so, we've got varying levels of fitness workouts, strong, stronger, and strongest, with instructional videos on how to break down those movements, how to do them. And I would also say, in a time that's going to maximize not only our fitness, but also our life. Like, I don't have time to spend an hour and a half in the gym. I mean, I guess I could, but I don't necessarily need to if I don't have to. So, nutritional plans. Number two, you are what you eat eats. Like, your body's an engine. It's a high performance car. So, if you're putting diesel fuel in a high performance engine, aka your body that God gave you, like, you're going to have some pretty serious problems. So, nutritional programs at various different levels. Like, I get it. Maybe some of you are like, dude, I've been living off of beer and Busch Light and pizza for the last 15 years. Like, I don't even know what a vegetable looks like. We've got a process for you. Hey, I've really been pretty solid, and I've really been pretty good when it comes to nutrition for quite some time, but I just need a reset. Well, we've got a detoxification, high level intermittent fasting, no alcohol. Sometimes it's just good to go without those things, so that way you can cleanse, reset, and have a good foundation. A shopping list. I mean, men are not like women in a lot of different ways, right? But hey, just tell me what to eat. Give me guidelines. Tell me what to eat. Tell me what I can and what I cannot. Make it simple. We got it for you. Daily guided devotionals. I mean, this is huge. I mean, some guys are like, listen, I know guys that spend 3 hours in the Bible. And I know guys who don't spend any time in the Bible, right? They spend all their time in self-help books and ways to, improve themselves. But ultimately, we've got to have a happy medium in the middle of that. Like, I don't have time for 3 hours in the Bible. Not that that's bad, but daily devotionals that are short, sweet, to the point, powerful, with memorization and scripture and journaling and writing those down, and just something to anchor to. I think it's even more powerful you to anchor something small, meditate on that, and build on it versus reading 3 hours of scripture that oftentimes you forget half of it, especially if it's early in the morning. Check-ins, weekly coaching calls. So when you become a part of the Warrior 40, you have access to Tuesday hour-long coaching calls, or however long you want them to go. Myself, we've got some of the really, really awesome coaches coming in that are currently here. We've got guys like Graham Holmberg, one of the fittest athletes in the world, but also a father of six and a strong spiritual pillar in our community, who is just amazing. Guys like Alan Smith, who played football for Brown University. He's a pastor now. I mean, he's just really awesome people. Guys like Aaron Chambers, who's led and managed couples for years. And I'm not talking just like your ordinary couples, but people that got some very big problems. And that's just to mention, a few of them. Weekly reviews and goal setting. On those calls, we talk about our goals. We talk about our why. I've got guys that cry on that call. I've got guys that give their lives to the Lord on that call. I've got guys that are just the other day, I want to get baptized. Very, very powerful. Fitness assessments, hey, before, hey, take a picture, see where you're at. One of the greatest ways to develop discipline is to become aware of where you're at. So sometimes you just got to get punched in the face before you can realize, hey, the punch wasn't that bad. And then final assessments, warrior maintenance programs. Hey, just how do we maintain this, right? I mean, 40 days, I'm doing really good, but what does this look like moving forward? We go over all that. Real quick story. I got a guy who's been with us in the Warrior 40 Challenge for about over a year now. Jeff came to me as a patient, and then quickly, came into our men's ministry, Warrior 40, and it's been a huge transformational process for him. And I think he's the best example that I can give you of what this program can do. And Jeff came in obese, very, very, very obese, and had just kind of let himself go physically for a very long time. He was a chronic smoker, and his relationship with the Lord, his relationship with his family, his wife, everything was about just working, 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 paying for kids' college, everything. I mean, you get it. I don't have time for fitness. I don't have time for this. I got to grind, grind, grind. He's a chef. So he's always around food, always around things that maybe aren't the best for him. And he dove in to the Warrior 40. I mean, he dove in, head in. He comes to our monthly workouts. He's on every single coaching call. And he's lost over 50 pounds. He hasn't had any cigarettes. And just the other day, he's rekindled a relationship with his father, who's passing away, which is very important to him. And he told me, man, he's like, I rededicated my life to the Lord, and I want you to baptize me. And man, just that's just a huge deal. I mean, to me, that is what Warrior 40 is about. I've got other guys that are like super jacked, who have no body fat, but they're just really, really struggling with their relationship with their wives because they're not confident in who they are. They've got big muscles, but they've got some intrinsic internal dialogue that's going on in their head that's not good. So these are just some stories of some men that could be you, by applying this information and having transformation. We have to look at this in a different way. There are a lot of things out there. The problem with what we have available currently right now is this. It's all about one thing, meaning that you've got an amazing fitness process or a program, but it teaches nothing about how to be a strong man. It teaches nothing about how to lead your kids, and it teaches nothing about how to have a strong marriage and a relationship with the Lord. I would actually even say that some of these, physical programs, fitness programs can get you jacked, but yet there's this massive gaping empty hole in your heart. Now, I can't speak to all of them, but I'm just saying that it's very one-dimensional. Then you've got, hey, just follow this nutritional plan, and then you'll look like me. And you got this guy online that's a dad that's super jacked. He's got hamburger veins come out of his abs, but really he's on steroids or injecting himself with TRT, and he's cheating. And that's not what we're about. We're about, hey, God gave us this body. We've got to steward over it well. And we're not about cheating. We're about doing the right things consistently over the course of time, creating discipline. And like, we're not a quick fix program. Now, 40 days, it'll change your life, but this is about the next 40 years of your life. Self-help books. I mean, just this whole kind of self-help movement of, hey, be you and do you and come through this program, and affirmations of like, I'm the best and I'm this, but yet there's no foundation. There's no place to dig your heels in. It's all about you. And the reality is this is not about you. It's not about me. Yes, like, we've got to focus on ourselves and we've got to build ourselves up. But the reason why we're doing that has nothing to do with us, has everything to do with who we're trying to serve, our wives, our kids, our mission. And I'll tell you, the moment that I begin to take the focus off of me and I begin to focus on others, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, that's why I'm doing the Warrior 40, man, my internal dialogue completely changes. And then you got like the Navy SEAL torture kind of stuff, right? I mean, you go to a weekend crazy torture session, they're spraying you with water, you got this rucksack on and you're going like 10 miles in the sand, making yourself a sugar cookie, and then you're chafing all over the place, and then they're like, you're an effing horrible father, and like, listen, to be honest with you, like, I actually like do that well. Like, I love physical torture. I mean, I think doing hard things is really good, but like, some people just don't do that well. Like, I know guys that, man, I don't do that well. Like, I gotta earn some trust first before I can have somebody else that I don't even know, beat me up. So yeah, some of the things that we got coming up, the intensives and different things like that, that we're going to be a part of this program, we're going to do hard things, but we have to meet you where you're at. And sometimes we need to be told what we need to hear, not what we want to hear. But at the same time, we can't push people away, because men will just cower and run away. And that's not what we want either. And like I said, just do you, bro. Like, just do you. That's not what it's about. Just don't focus on you, because if you focus on you, there's some big problems here. The Warrior 47 step transformation is about really creating strong gentlemen. That's what it's about. What is a strong gentleman? It's a man. He's a lion and he's a lamb. We don't need any more lambs in this world. Jesus was a lamb, but he also was a lion. He was tender and he was tough. He was a protector and he was a provider. He was also a nurturer. That's why the children were drawn to him. And so, I've seen it very broken up. It's like, I'm a lamb and I'm over here, and I couldn't beat myself out of a wet paper bag. And hey, kids, kind of do what you want to do and be you and whatever. And then you've got like the lion over here that's like, do what I say, not what I do, like rah, rah, rah. Like, we need to bring those two together. And that's what the Warrior 40 program is about. It's about being fit and being faithful, right? Not being faithful, but being fat, not being fat and but being fit and faithful, like stewarding over our bodies, because our bodies, were given to us for a reason, and that's to carry out the mission that God has for us. So, hey guys, if this is making sense, put yes in the chat. Like, if you agree with this, like, give me a thumbs up. Here's the deal. This became very real for me. Obviously 4 years ago, but over the last couple of years, even more so, when I'm seeing men just confused. Um, we're all over the place. Like, our discipline, our depth, is just really, really poor. We've got a million different things. We're very, very, we're all over the place, and we really don't know where to go. We're almost like paralysis by analysis. And so I needed to create an effective system to help men kind of stay within the guidelines. There was a out in Arizona, I think it was about 10 years ago, scientists wanted to create this process, or this ecosystem that something like the world's never seen before. And so they created this biodome. And what they did is they had like some of the most lush wildlife and trees and animals living within this ecosystem. And what they found out is that when they started to kind of bring, elements in, like snow and ice and wind and storms, the trees began to blow over. And what they quickly realized was that the roots of these trees, because they weren't constantly being exposed to wind and struggle, they weren't able to grow the roots. And so over the last couple of years, I've really seen guys on the surface have it together, but their roots aren't very deep. And I'll be honest, I think that's where, my buddy Mark was, is that on the surface, everything was good. He was the funny guy, he kind of had it all together, but his roots weren't grounded enough. And when the devil came, and like he always does, to kill, seek, and destroy, and distract and discourage, he kind of blew over. And so we needed to create a program, that would dig our roots, that would keep us deep, not just jacked, but also, hey, I'm in this for the long haul. Mark 8:36 says, "What does it profit a man to gain the whole world, yet forfeit his soul?" So we've got to start thinking about these things, like, why am I working out? Why am I eating good food? Like, why am I doing these types of things? I'm doing it to grow roots. And I don't know if you've looked around over the last 4 years, especially with COVID and just all the things that have gone on, but you can see a difference between a man who's got strong roots and a man who does not have strong roots. And that's what the Warrior 40 is about. We have got to dig our roots a little bit deeper. And this Warrior 40 transformation system has really helped me do that as well. I'll be honest, I've got a lot of things that I'm very blessed. But even over the last couple of years, with just more and more things and spinning more plates, it became very obvious to me that I needed to have deeper roots. I needed to have men in my life that were going to sharpen me, because sometimes personally, I can oftentimes put myself on an island, and that island is a lonely place. And you can win the world, but when there's nobody around to celebrate it with you, that's a root that I had to grow. And so even myself, like, I mean, I'm a fit guy. I've got, financially, I'm good. My kids are awesome. My relationship is good, but I needed to grow some roots. And so this Warrior 40 transformation system has helped me with that. 1 Peter 5:8 says, "Be alert and sober minded. Your enemy, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking to devour you." And the devil, or whatever it is that you want to call him, I don't know, where your guys is, kind of spiritually where you're at, but even if you're not a spiritual person right now, and in the future, hopefully, we'll begin to grow that for you. But you know, people are just out to get. I mean, the world is just hard. Call it what you want, but the devil, or just whatever it is. I mean, man, that person, that thing, is the master of distraction, discouragement, and then those things cause us to disengage. And we don't need any more disengaged fathers, like, because whenever a dad or a man is disengaged, they become fatter. It's easy just to say, "Hey, honey, we're going to throw in the towel." It's easier to be divorced. Broke. I looked at things like, well, hey, I'm disengaged, and I'm discouraged. So I'll go to porn. I'll go to alcohol. And like, hey, you know what? What the hell? Like, just the heck with it. Swing by McDonald's, slug back a big gulp coffee and an egg McMuffin, and, like, it doesn't really matter, what I do with my body, or where I'm at. I'm going to get a brand new body in heaven anyway. I mean, those are the things that the devil will do to distract you away from, your God-given calling. And so there are three reasons why I believe that this program will help you stay engaged, will help you fight off the devil, or whatever you would call that, for distraction. And that's what Jesus did. I mean, he went 40 days in the 40 night and in the wilderness, and he fasted, and he did these kind of things because he knew that he was going to come against opposition. He was called by his Father to do the unspeakable, and he had to be prepped and planned. And so there are three reasons why I believe that this process will do this for you. Number one, this community will give you the best opportunity to succeed, because effective fitness and nutrition. This isn't the number one thing, but I think that it's important for us to understand. And working with thousands of men over the last 12 years, I have found that we struggle with this. We're looking for the quick fix, and the quick fix ain't out there, because anything quick, especially with nutrition and fitness, isn't long lasting. So fitness, like different levels, different things that you can do, simple, easy, minimal equipment. Listen, if you want to go to the gym, or you want to have a CrossFit membership, or you want to, I mean, I think that's fantastic. I think that's great. But you can still use a lot of these workouts whenever you can't get there. You're on vacation. You're a place where you're traveling. I mean, this is perfect for the dad who's just really busy. And hey, listen, I can't get to the gym. I talk to a lot of guys that millions and millions of dollars in their bank account, and they let themselves go. And the number one reason why that is they let themselves go is because number one, I don't have time. And number two is I don't know what to do. These things give you that constantly varied functional movement performed at high intensity that will give you that metabolic response, suck away belly fat, suck away fat in general, increase your energy, increase your focus. And I'll tell you this, I have found that when we do these types of things in the morning, and then we dive into, personal development and spiritual growth, we're a little bit more engaged when we do those things because of how clean and how focused our engine is. Number two is nutrition. Quality food, specific times, resetting your body. This has got to be simple, but it can't be easy. Everybody wants to shake weight. Everybody just wants to do hey, just give me a shake that I can, shake up and drink all day. And then when 40 days is over and you're going back to trying to eat real food, or, maybe your wife and your family aren't on board with this, like, and you've got to learn how to do this yourself in order to be an example. So that way, when you become the example, others will want to follow you. And maybe your wife's not on board with you. I'm very blessed that my wife and I are on the same page, but a lot of men, their wives don't eat the way that they eat. They don't have those types of roots in the ground, and your wife can't be Jesus to you. So you've got to have a solid plan of attack, and it's got to be simple. It's got to be easy. It's got to be something that you can follow. And more importantly, your nutrition has to be something that you can maintain. I know guys that, hey, I lost 30 pounds, and then all of a sudden the year later we gained 20 back, and we're just 2-step forwards and 1 step back. So we've got to have something that's consistent, and the Warrior 40 nutrition program is really, really easy, or not easy, but simple, and effective. And when done consistently, you can see great results. And then, just the whole time thing. It's 30 minutes a day. I would say for 30 minutes total a day, you can get amazing biblical and mental sharpening, relational sharpening, and challenges that you can do with your family, journaling, and you can get a great workout in just 30 minutes. I mean, most of the workouts that we have planned are 10 to 15, 20 minutes. Maybe one day it'll take you a total of 40 minutes, but most guys, whenever they're like, man, I got to make a change, they spend like 2 hours trying to figure all this stuff out. And then they begin to replicate or try to copy, somebody else's routine. And that's not great. So this program allows you to become basically who God wants you to be in that system. Maybe you take, these nuggets and then you make it your own a little bit. Eventually after doing this, you can go through the 40 days at strong, go through the 40 days at stronger, go through the 40 days again at strongest. 120 days later, you're pretty good with the fitness stuff. Like you have a pretty good idea of what to eat and what not to eat and what's going to be good for you and what's not. And then also from a fitness standpoint, like I kind of know how to program a workout now. You can begin to vary off, and that's how we begin to have, excuse me, some maintenance. The last thing I'll say here is iron sharpens iron. I think this is, well, I know this is the most important part, because whether or not you believe it or not, you need other men. You need community. I know that there are people listening right now that you can bury your head in the sand and you can do it all yourself. But the reality is that we have to bring men together, because a cord of three is not easily broken, meaning that we need other men around us, built on a foundation of Christ, and that are physically, emotionally, spiritually sharpening each other. Like there's just an element of that we don't have. I mean, like I said, you could do a nutrition program by yourself. You can do a fitness program by yourself. But to do it, and to know that there are other guys around the country, around the world that are doing it alongside you, and then meeting up once a week and talking through their struggles and talking through, like the wins, and hey, here's what I'm seeing different. And more importantly, to hear another man say, yeah, man, like me too. Like I struggle with that. Really? Like, man, it makes me feel human. Like it makes me feel like I'm not a cyborg. Like I'm not the only one that's struggling with these things. And so that's the big thing that we're trying to create is community. And so if I'd love for you to purchase the Warrior 40. I think it'll radically transform your life. But those weekly coaching calls, like I always use the example, cancel Christmas, can't cancel. You got to get on those calls. Like you got to get on those calls. You got to engage. You got to open up. And I get it. Maybe we don't trust everybody just yet, but that's where, having these conversations and hearing guys open up and then working out together and eventually, meeting up and doing hard things together, we can build those relationships that last a lifetime. Some of my best friends that I currently have are the guys that I wrestled with in high school and college. They're the guys that I grinded with every single day. They're the guys that I bled with every single day. The guys that I cut weight with every single day. And we went through the shit together. And that's how you build trust. It's hard to build trust, sitting around a small table drinking coffee with somebody who I don't even know who they are. We've got to get real and we've got to get focused, and we've got to get together. And that's, why this is super important. So here's the deal. Information plus application equals transformation. You got to apply this. You got to apply it in order to have transformation. So here's what you get. So I've got the link in there. You can click that link and you can join the Warrior 40 and hop right in with us. We've got guys that are doing this 40-day challenge at different times. And there's not a bad time to join. I would just say the only bad time to join is the time when you don't at all, because you've got paralysis by analysis and you're like, I don't know. Listen, jump in. Sometimes it's just good to jump in and learn how to swim, because men just definitely need to get stronger. So here's what we get: 7-step total transformation protocol. When you value the 7-step process that we have, that's valued at over $5,000. Like when you take all those things that you're getting in that 40-day, or really just, for the next, 120 days, when you continue to kind of go through that process, the weekly coaching calls, all the stuff we talked about, the assessments, the brotherhood, the leadership. I mean, like there are men that are paying thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to go to weekend seminars to learn this kind of stuff. This is valued at $5,000. Just the Warrior 40 fitness and nutrition, the things that I've done with patients and the data that we've collected, the body fat that's been lost, the lives that have been changed, the medication that people are no longer needing to take because of these transformation. I mean, that's over a $2,000 value. And it's crazy what you get this for. The Warrior community, just meeting up with a guy and guys all around the country every single week and beginning to just kind of, empty our emotional jug, to sharpen one another, to pray together, to encourage one another. I mean, that's something that we need. If you're a church goer on Sundays, it's like, that's great. But we got to actually get into a group. We got to get out of a line in a circle, and we've got to have some community. Over $1,000 value. That's a $13,000 value. And I guess my question would be this, and I'll ask you this before I go over and we close this out. Is not getting a divorce and having a better relationship with your wife worth $13,000? I would say yes. Would getting in the best shape physically, emotionally, spiritually that you've ever been in your life, or at least having the steps and the protocols necessary for you to achieve that, is that worth $13,000? I mean, I don't know about you, but the average individual in our broken healthcare system spends $14,500 per year on a broken healthcare system that actually doesn't make them more healthy. So I mean, you got to think about that. And so here's the deal, right? So with all that being said, $13,000 value, we have priced the Warrior 40 Challenge for just $97 a month, or a one-time purchase for $997. $97 a month or $997 for the year. So for $1,000 for the year, you can get, workouts, you can get nutrition, you can get mindset coaching, you can get biblical discipleship, you can get relationship coaching, and I think more importantly, you get community. So like I said, if you're on this line and you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, and you're like, man, I have got to step up my game, then this is for you. Click the link there, get on board. If you're the guy who's like, you know what, I'm doing pretty good, but I just need a reset. Like I just need something that's going to challenge me. Click the button, start the Warrior 40 Challenge. You're not going to be disappointed. And so there you go. If you guys have any questions, put them in the comments there. We'll get to them. Act now. Like I said, $97 a month or $997 for the entire year. this can radically transform your life. I mean, I already know it's doing it for men. That can be you too. On behalf of myself and everybody here at Warrior 3 Project and Warrior 40, we pray that you live, lead, and love strong. Love you, gentlemen.